Okay, so Nick is a conventional deadlifter with a 700-pound plus conventional deadlift. So I don't give a shit about his conventional deadlift. What I want to know is where his weaknesses are. So what I'm going to do is, for some way, shape, or form, he doesn't pull conventional, doesn't even really train it. And that means it's going to show weaknesses way, way faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him set up on a sumo deadlift, and we're going to take him up to where we start seeing some form break. Where the form breaks is probably going to be where we saw the weaknesses on his squat about 2 months ago. So the point is like sometimes assessment tools are not always what you're good at, it's what you're unfamiliar with. It will show weaknesses faster. So let's get to the sumo deadlift and let Nico warm up, and we'll build up to a point where we have a technical breakdown. Like I said, when you get to 2-3 plates, start making little bullshit mistakes now. Yeah, that's okay. Good. All right, so just with 225, we've seen a couple little things we can fix. So what I would like to do is he's going to go back down and grab the bar. So go ahead, grab the bar and act like you're going to get ready to pull it. Now I want him to keep his hips up a little bit higher. Now I want him to look a little bit past neutral. Don't jar your head all the way back. But what he's going to do, as soon as he's going to set his hips and he's going to look to that squat rack way down there, that black squat rack when he gets ready to pull. So he's going to pull his hips down, pick his head up, and he's going to pull from there. Now go. Much better. You see how much more smooth that looked? That's good, Nick. You see how much more smooth that looked than just the rep before it? The rep before it almost looked like a good morning, and that one looked like he squatted it up. This is what's happening with a lot of these big deadlifters these days. They're getting in a position where they just leg press it up because their chest is already so high. That is fixed a little bit by picking his head up just a little bit more and pulling his hips a little bit farther down. Let's see what 315 looks like. Okay, so what I'm watching now is I'm watching Nick's foot pressure. So we fixed his upper back a little bit. We knew that was a weakness. We fixed him getting his chest up a little higher, and we fixed him pulling his glutes down a little more to get more in that squat position. Now, that could be different for a lot of different people based on how you're built. But the one thing that I think stays the same is I'm watching Nick's foot pressure. His foot pressure in that was not lateral. It was just flat down in the ground. So this next one, he's really going to drive his knees out, and he's going to try to stay on the side of his shoe. So I want him to focus his mentality on the side of his shoe when he goes to pick this up, and that's going to get this knee to push out laterally, and he's going to squat down even a little bit more, and his positioning is going to be even better. So let's see that again. Arch it, lateral foot pressure, head up, and go. Amazing. You can even see the snap of that 315 off the ground so much faster. Why? When you push out laterally, the same as a squat, what I taught you a couple months ago, it forces the glutes to help the legs on the way up. And you notice that everything looked like it was working together. There weren't pieces. It wasn't like leg strength, then back, and then glutes. It was all glutes, legs, back at the same time. Boom, like a scissor. That is when you know you're doing it perfect. And I find that a lot of times that is all starting with the proper foot pressure. Okay? Let's go to 405. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to look at watching Nick is I want him to fill his stomach up as far as he can and pushing on this belt. He's trying to break this little lever off the belt. He's trying to snap it off. That's step one. Step two, he's going to flex his lats harder when he picks the bar up off of the floor. And watch how much faster 405 comes with the right foot pressure, this right position, this tighter and tighter lats. Yep, big air, lateral foot pressure, lock in the lats, lock in the abs, hit, easy, solid. So you can see that lock in the lat and that bigger ab pressure actually, when he got to his knee, it just almost snapped like a vertical jump. That's what it's going to take when he wants to pull big weights. Now, I'm going to stop coaching. We're going to go up another plate, and now that I've taught him everything that he can learn in a day with technique, which is probably more than I would teach somebody the first time I see him on a deadlift, we're going to go up enough to where he either fails or he starts to break form of something that he can't hold in that position. That should show us if we're on the right track with the warm-up and what we should be doing with the accessories. So what you're probably going to see with him as he gets harder is he has a problem with his hips coming up higher because his legs are stronger than his glutes. That's usually what that means. So once we see that, we don't need to go any heavier. We know where the weaknesses are. We can go back to the board and we can devise a handful of exercises that he can take home and use to correct that weakness. And then maybe in 6 months or so, we do a revamp video. And then with that revamp video, we see what the weaknesses got fixed and we watch it go higher. All right, let's see it. Hips down, chest up, push out. There it is. Okay. So what we saw was a little bit of a stagnation point. He had to almost put max power into it. The bar kind of hopped and then it went. So what that's telling me is he might not be pulling enough slack out of the bar, which means his lats may not be tight enough and or his foot pressure is not staying lateral. So we'll put another plate on and we'll actually see where this stops or what breaks. Big air. Go through the cues from your feet to your head. Lock it in. There it is. Big air. Hey! Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Go, go, go. There it goes. There it goes. Good job. Okay. So what we saw was his hips shoot up first. So that's telling me he's quad dominant. And obviously you can see his legs are fucking ginormous. What we have to do is get his glutes as predominant as his quads. This is a very common issue that you're going to see that people that squat with knees over toes or that have a bad squat form. Ironically, his squat form is really, really good. So what we just need to do is activate more glutes. So we did that a little bit with the kettlebell swings. We whooped on posterior chain with the hamstring curls. We got his grip, that looked good. And we also noticed that his starting strength off the ground was a little bit weaker. So once he broke it about 3-4 inches off the ground, it was easy. So what does starting strength mean? Well, a lot of times it means positioning. So when he went to pull and max strain on it, his butt came up first, which put him in a good morning position and made him strain more on his upper back, not giving him a good position to drive with his legs. His legs had already done the work. So we just got to create that motor pattern that his legs and his hips and his upper back all work together in one integral unit. So there's a lot of different ways we can attack this, but I'll show you some ways that I would do it. So in the Wenning warm-up, we found what we knew we were going to see. Weaknesses, glutes, hamstrings, upper back. His upper back actually looked really good, but you could tell the hamstring to quadricep ratio still needs some work, and we could tell the glutes are not firing at the same rate the knees are. That's why the legs extended first off the floor, okay? So as we went up, even in a good coach's eye, we saw different problems at different weights, but we really saw everything come together at 495. If I were to do this and not do it for filming, I would work him all the way up and not give him too many coaching cues here until I saw the breaking point, and then all this would come out in massive amounts. But I kind of cheated it and wanted you guys to see that there are even form corrections with a 700-pound conventional deadlifter at 225. So this is relative to you guys as well. Okay, so all of these areas, once they were fixed, this became the big problem, which is very common. The legs extend first. So what we have to do is we have to constantly battle the anterior chain, trying to take everything over, i.e. we get here and he does this. Boom. Then he has to straighten it up. That means the legs are more powerful than the posterior chain, in my opinion. So what we need to do is stay away from doing more quadricep work, and we need to really blast the hamstrings, the glutes, the lower back, and we got to get the abs stiffer. And we also probably, we won't have time for it in this video, work the dynamic effort method in the sumo deadlift and work on that getting off the floor speed, okay? If you look at a lot of the great deadlifters, they really get that fucker moving really fast. And the key is, if you get it breaking fast, inertia is on your side, and therefore you can lighten the weight up long enough to lock it out.